How You Can Achieve Anything, a Zen motivational story. In the heart of a serene mountain village, a wise Zen master taught a lesson that could change lives forever. This is the story of how to achieve anything by shifting your focus from the results to the journey itself. The master often reminded his students, do not chase after the results alone. Instead, immerse yourself in the process, trust in your abilities, and let the rewards come naturally. Through this story, you'll discover the profound power of focusing on effort and embracing the journey. One day, a student approached the Zen master, disheartened. "Master," he said, "I've worked so hard, yet I see no results. What should I do?" The master smiled and replied, "When you plant a seed, do you dig it up every day to check if it has sprouted, or do you nurture it, trusting that it will grow?" The student realized his mistake. He had been so fixated on the results that he forgot to enjoy and learn from the process. The Zen master's wisdom was clear. Focus on the effort, not the outcome. True success lies in the journey, not just the destination. Each step teaches you, strengthens you, and prepares you for the challenges ahead. When you embrace the process, you unlock the power to achieve anything. You can achieve anything. Trust the process. Focus on effort. So remember, don't be consumed by the results. Focus on the process, trust in yourself, and enjoy every moment of the journey.
Discovering Zen, a path to peace. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, finding peace can feel like a distant dream. We are constantly bombarded with information, deadlines, and demands on our time. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and disconnected from ourselves and the world around us. Zen offers a path to rediscover inner peace and live a more meaningful life. It is a path of mindfulness, compassion, and awakening. Zen originated in ancient India, later flourishing in China and Japan. It is a branch of Mahayana Buddhism that emphasizes direct experience and intuitive understanding. Zen is not a religion in the traditional sense. It does not require belief in a god or deities. Instead, Zen focuses on the practice of meditation and mindfulness to cultivate inner peace and wisdom. Zen invites us to slow down, breathe deeply, and pay attention to the present moment. By cultivating awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations, we can begin to let go of stress, anxiety, and negative patterns that keep us from experiencing true peace. The essence of Zen, simple yet profound. At its core, Zen is remarkably simple. It is about waking up to the present moment and seeing the world with fresh eyes. Zen teachings encourage us to let go of our attachments to material possessions, opinions, and even our own ego. This doesn't mean renouncing the world or living a life of austerity. One of the fundamental principles of Zen is the idea of beginner's mind. This means approaching life with a sense of openness and curiosity, as if we are experiencing everything for the first time. When we let go of our preconceived notions and judgments, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. Another important principle is the concept of non-duality. Zen teaches that there is no separation between ourselves and the world around us. We are all interconnected, part of a vast and ever-changing web of life. Cultivating inner peace. The Zen approach. Zen practice offers a pathway to cultivate inner peace even amidst the challenges of daily life. Meditation is at the heart of Zen practice. Through seated meditation, zazen, walking meditation, kinhin, and mindful breathing exercises, we can train our minds to become more still and focused. As we practice meditation, we gradually become more aware of our thoughts and emotions without judgment. We learn to observe them as passing clouds in the sky rather than identifying with them or allowing them to control us. This practice of non-attachment is key to finding lasting peace. Zen also emphasizes the importance of compassion and loving kindness. When we cultivate compassion for ourselves and others, we create a more peaceful and harmonious inner world. By extending kindness and understanding to all beings, we contribute to a more peaceful world around us. Everyday Zen practices for a mindful life. Zen is not confined to the meditation cushion or the monastery. It can be integrated into every aspect of our daily lives. One of the simplest yet most powerful Zen practices is mindful breathing. Throughout the day, we can take a few moments to pause, breathe deeply, and bring our attention to the present moment. Another practice is mindful walking. As we walk, we can pay attention to the sensations of our feet on the ground, the movement of our body, and the sights and sounds around us. This helps us to become more grounded and present in our bodies. We can also bring mindfulness to everyday activities such as eating, washing dishes, or driving. By paying full attention to the task at hand, we can transform these mundane activities into opportunities for mindfulness and appreciation. As we integrate Zen principles and practices into our lives, we may begin to notice subtle yet profound shifts in our experience. We may find ourselves feeling calmer, more centered, and more resilient in the face of stress. Our relationships may improve as we become more present and compassionate in our interactions with others. Zen can also help us to find greater meaning and purpose in life. By letting go of our ego-driven desires and attachments, we can connect with something larger than ourselves. We may discover a sense of purpose in serving others, pursuing creative endeavors, or simply appreciating the beauty of the present moment. The practice of Zen is an ongoing journey, not a destination. There will be times when we feel peaceful and connected, and times when we feel lost and frustrated. The key is to approach our practice with patience, kindness, and a sense of humor. Zen invites us to question our assumptions about what constitutes a meaningful life. Often we chase after external markers of success, such as wealth, status, or possessions. But Zen teaches that true happiness and fulfillment come from within, from cultivating inner peace, wisdom, and compassion. In the Zen tradition, work is not seen as separate from spiritual practice. Any activity, whether it is washing dishes, writing a book, or leading a corporation, can be an opportunity to practice mindfulness and cultivate our innate wisdom. Zen encourages us to find joy in the simple things in life. A warm cup of tea, the sound of rain, the smile of a loved one. By appreciating the present moment, we discover that happiness is not something to be pursued in the future, but something to be experienced here and now. In a world that often values perfectionism and striving for flawlessness, Zen offers a radically different perspective. Zen teaches us to embrace imperfection, both in ourselves and in the world around us. The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi celebrates the beauty of imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. When we let go of the need for everything to be perfect, we can find a sense of freedom and ease in our lives. We can learn to appreciate the cracks and crevices in our own being, as well as the beauty in the unexpected and unconventional. This acceptance of imperfection extends to our meditation practice. There will be days when our minds are busy and distracted, and we may feel like we are not making progress. Zen teaches us to meet these challenges with kindness and acceptance, without judgment or self-criticism. One of the greatest gifts of Zen is the realization that joy and peace are available to us in every moment, if we know how to look for them. Often, we are so caught up in our thoughts about the past or worries about the future, that we miss the beauty and wonder of the present moment. Zen practice helps us to cultivate a deep appreciation for the simple things in life, the taste of our food, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the sound of birdsong. When we slow down and pay attention, we discover that life is full of small miracles. By learning to live in the present moment, we free ourselves from the tyranny of our thoughts and emotions. We discover a sense of peace and contentment that does not depend on external circumstances. For centuries, Zen has offered a path to peace, wisdom, and enlightenment for people from all walks of life. In a world that is increasingly complex and demanding, Zen's message of simplicity, mindfulness, and compassion is more relevant than ever. The practice of Zen is not about escaping from the world, but about engaging with it fully and mindfully. It is about finding peace within ourselves so that we can contribute to creating a more peaceful world. As we cultivate inner peace and wisdom, we naturally become a source of peace and compassion for others. The journey of Zen is a lifelong adventure. It is a path of continuous learning, growth, and transformation.
When we're trapped in what Viktor Frankl called the existential vacuum, what awaits us is despair. During his days in the concentration camps, he noticed a division between two kinds of people, those who had given up on life and those who had not. The first group was more prone to illness and death. The second group was more likely to survive. The difference? A sense of meaning, or more specifically, the discovery of purpose in their unbearable living conditions. For example, Frankl himself was a doctor and found purpose in helping the inmates who suffered from illnesses. One day, he refused an opportunity to escape the camp so he could stay with his patients. He wasn't motivated by money, status, power, or even freedom. His purpose, taking care of his fellow human beings and not abandoning them, was so important to him that he was willing to die for it. His life had become a sacrifice of the most profound significance. On the other hand, Frankl wrote about those who collapsed under the harsh conditions of the camp. They always had the same reasoning for giving up. There's nothing anymore to expect from life. Devoid of meaning and faith that things could turn out more favorable, our bodies and minds begin to wither as we've lost our will to live. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. What keeps a human being going? The purest answer to this question is perhaps to be found in the worst of places. Austrian psychiatrist, philosopher, and author Viktor Frankl spent 3 years in 4 different concentration camps. He was at the mercy of sadistic SS guards and the so-called kapos, prisoners with special privileges who willingly collaborated with the Nazis and were even more ruthless than their masters. The camp inmates were constantly exposed to famine, sickness, slave labor, and the possibility of punishment or execution. There was no freedom. The prisoners moved around like a defenseless flock of sheep, kicked and beaten by their shepherds, stripped of all human dignity. What's left to live for in such a horrible place like a concentration camp? When they've taken all your liberties and possessions, and when death at short notice is almost inevitable, is there any reason not to give up on life? Viktor Frankl concluded that there's always a reason to live, even in the worst conditions. There's always meaning in suffering, and if we can grasp this meaning, this star in the sky, we can overcome even the most painful circumstances. According to Viktor Frankl, it's not pleasure, success, or power that essentially drives people. It's finding something, a purpose, a meaning, to live and even die for. What's the purpose of my life? What's the meaning of all this? These questions echo the current societal condition, predominantly in the Western world, where our lives seem to revolve around working a meaningless job to earn money so we can buy stuff as a means to dull our sense of meaninglessness. During times of globalization, secularization, and relative peace, we're less likely to find meaning in being part of a tribe, religious community, or defending our countries and loved ones against neighboring enemies. Everything has become so dull, so pointless, that we engage in rampant consumerism and distraction just to avoid feeling a deep-seated sense of purposelessness that plagues our existence. And before we know it, nihilism kicks in, and we begin to ask ourselves, what's the point? Why keep going? We cannot compare the circumstances of the modern-day Westerner with those who lived in the concentration camps during the Second World War. But oddly enough, we walk around with similar existential questions and have similar reasons for giving up on life altogether. The lack of purpose, hopelessness, and meaninglessness. Imagine having to get out of bed every morning without a meaningful long-term goal. The only reason you get up is to get to work and engage in activities you don't like, just to financially support a meaningless existence. You blame your past, parents, circumstances, and even your genetics for not having anything going for you. But in reality, you can still transcend your predicament and find purpose despite any external situation. The question is, of course, how? Before we get into the how of meaning, it's helpful to look at the why of meaning. In today's world, there's a tendency to focus on money, status, power, and pleasure rather than a meaningful life. But according to Frankl, these pursuits are ways to cope with an existential vacuum. They are a consequence of a lack of meaning. In a society highly concerned with pursuing pleasure, in achieving wealth, it's often difficult to realize that these pursuits don't fill our existential emptiness and are only cheap substitutes for what truly matters. Instead, Frankl argued that meaning, not happiness, success, or pleasure, remains the ultimate driver of a fulfilled existence. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, believed the essence of human life lies in finding meaning, even in the direst circumstances. During his time in concentration camps, he observed that individuals who found purpose, whether through helping others or clinging to faith, were more likely to survive than those who succumbed to hopelessness. Frankl argued that meaning, not pleasure or power, is the primary driver of human existence. He emphasized that even in extreme conditions, we retain the freedom to choose our attitude and response. This spiritual freedom, which cannot be taken away, enables us to transcend suffering and find purpose. For example, Frankl found meaning in caring for fellow inmates, even when facing death. In contrast, those who abandoned hope often fell ill and perished. Frankl noted that modern society's focus on materialism and pleasure often masks an existential vacuum, leaving many feeling purposeless. He contended that pursuing meaning is essential for fulfillment, as material success and pleasure are inadequate substitutes. Life's true significance, Frankl believed, emerges when we embrace responsibility for our choices and strive to find purpose, regardless of our external circumstances. His philosophy offers a timeless guide for navigating despair and cultivating resilience. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. What keeps a human being going? The purest answer to this question is perhaps to be found in the worst of places. Austrian psychiatrist, philosopher, and author Viktor Frankl spent 3 years in 4 different concentration camps. He was at the mercy of sadistic SS guards and the so-called kapos, prisoners with special privileges who willingly collaborated with the Nazis and were even more ruthless than their masters. The camp inmates were constantly exposed to famine, sickness, slave labor, and the possibility of punishment or execution. There was no freedom. The prisoners moved around like a defenseless flock of sheep, kicked and beaten by their shepherds, stripped of all human dignity. What's left to live for in such a horrible place like a concentration camp? When they've taken all your liberties and possessions, and when death at short notice is almost inevitable, is there any reason not to give up on life? Viktor Frankl concluded that there's always a reason to live, even in the worst conditions. There's always meaning in suffering, and if we can grasp this meaning, this star in the sky, we can overcome even the most painful circumstances. According to Viktor Frankl, it's not pleasure, success, or power that essentially drives people. It's finding something, a purpose, a meaning, to live and even die for. What's the purpose of my life? What's the meaning of all this? These questions echo the current societal condition, predominantly in the Western world, where our lives seem to revolve around working a meaningless job to earn money so we can buy stuff as a means to dull our sense of meaninglessness. During times of globalization, secularization, and relative peace, we're less likely to find meaning in being part of a tribe, religious community, or defending our countries and loved ones against neighboring enemies. Everything has become so dull, so pointless, that we engage in rampant consumerism and distraction just to avoid feeling a deep-seated sense of purposelessness that plagues our existence. And before we know it, nihilism kicks in, and we begin to ask ourselves, what's the point? Why keep going? We cannot compare the circumstances of the modern-day Westerner with those who lived in the concentration camps during the Second World War. But oddly enough, we walk around with similar existential questions and have similar reasons for giving up on life altogether. The lack of purpose, hopelessness, and meaninglessness. Embracing the journey. The journey toward achieving any goal is rarely linear. It is filled with challenges, setbacks, and moments of self-doubt. However, these experiences are not obstacles. They are the very essence of growth. Each step, no matter how difficult, teaches us something valuable about ourselves and our capabilities. For instance, athletes often talk about how their grueling training sessions taught them discipline and resilience, qualities that matter as much, if not more, than winning a medal. Entrepreneurs frequently highlight how their failures became the foundation for future success. In both cases, The journey itself becomes a source of fulfillment and strength, shaping them into the individuals they aspire to be. To fully embrace the journey, one must adopt a mindset of curiosity and openness. Instead of viewing setbacks as failures, see them as opportunities to learn and improve. Rather than rushing to reach the finish line, the balance between goals and effort. While it is important to set goals, Zen philosophy cautions against becoming overly attached to them. Goals serve as a compass, providing direction and motivation. However, they should not overshadow the present moment. An unbalanced focus on results can lead to impatience and dissatisfaction, as seen in the story of the young artist. The key lies in finding harmony between ambition and acceptance. Work diligently toward your goals, but remain open to the unexpected twists and turns of the journey. Celebrate small milestones along the way and take time to reflect on how far you have come. This balanced approach not only enhances your chances of success, but also enriches your overall experience. Achieving anything through Zen wisdom. When you adopt the Zen approach of focusing on the journey, you unlock the potential to achieve anything. This mindset transforms challenges into opportunities, fosters resilience, and cultivates a sense of fulfillment that transcends external accomplishments. It empowers you to approach life with curiosity, patience, and trust in your abilities. In conclusion, the path to achieving anything lies not in fixating on the results, but in immersing yourself in the process. As the Zen master wisely taught, the seed grows not through constant inspection, but through consistent care and trust. Whether you are pursuing personal goals, professional aspirations, or creative endeavors, embrace the journey. Learn from each step and allow the results to unfold naturally. By doing so, you will discover that true success lies not in the destination, but in the rich and transformative experience of the journey itself. Take time to appreciate the experiences, relationships, and personal growth that occur along the way. This shift in perspective not only makes the process more enjoyable, but also leads to more sustainable and meaningful achievements. Trusting in your abilities. One of the greatest barriers to achieving anything is self-doubt. Many people abandon their goals because they lack confidence in their abilities or feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the task. Zen philosophy encourages us to let go of these limiting beliefs and trust in our inherent potential. Imagine a mountaineer standing at the base of a towering peak. The summit seems impossibly far away, and the path is fraught with obstacles. If the climber focuses solely on the daunting height of the mountain, fear and doubt may paralyze them. However, by concentrating on the first step, then the next, and so on, they gradually build momentum and confidence. Each small victory reinforces their belief in their ability to reach the summit. Trusting in your abilities does not mean ignoring your limitations. Rather, it involves recognizing that growth is a continuous process. You may not have all the skills or knowledge today, but with dedication and effort, you can develop them over time. By focusing on what you can do now, you create a solid foundation for future success.